BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Hello, welcome to another episode of BSing with Sean K. I am your host, Sean Kneese, and on this show I talk with people who live outside the box and provide a platform for opinions and perspectives not often heard in the mainstream media.
My dear minions, don't you miss me? I miss you so much. You know, every time I try to go away, I find myself back here again. I don't know why, but I guess this is where my true power resides.
And this is episode 91. And that clip you just heard was from my guest for today. Her name is Aver Lim. That was from her YouTube channel, Scarlet Queen. It's a roleplay fantasy channel. She describes it as an artistic channel infusing theater, dance, ASMR, and voiceovers. And she is conquering the hearts and minds of knights and minions, who in turn worship her as she becomes more powerful in her quest for the Scarlet Throne. So, yeah, basically she plays two characters on this channel. One's a dominatrix and is a more dominant personality, and the other one's more submissive. She goes into more detail about that in the conversation I had with her. But, yeah, she is interested in what's called the Kink community, and she goes more in depth about that in the episode, because I actually didn't expect to get into that with her when I was talking to her, but it definitely went in an interesting direction. And, you know, on this show I like to bring on people with unusual perspectives or perspectives outside the mainstream, and who are a part of, you know, alternative subcultures, and just really talk to them in an uncensored environment where they could just express themselves freely. And she, on top of doing this YouTube channel, which is like her main project right now, she's also an author. Her pen name is Scarlet Risk, and she's written the Red Hourglass trilogy. It's a dark romance thriller trilogy, and she goes into more detail about that in the interview. And she's also an actress and a stand-up comedian, and I met her as a stand-up when she was performing stand-up at the Triple Crown Theater the day I was performing with my Sunday night improv house team. I'm a part of this Sunday night improv house comedy team called Folks About the Town. So you can see us perform every Sunday at 8 at the Triple Crown Theater in New York, New York. That's on 7th Avenue. It's in the basement of the Triple Crown Ale House. Triple Crown Ale House. Yeah, she's usually there a lot of the week. She was there 2 weeks in a row when I was there, performing her stand-up at the Triple Crown. This is a clip of her stand-up performance, like that she did the night that after I interviewed her.
I'm overworked. I have to improv, do stand-up, do a podcast all in one day, and go on a date too for my personal life. So I balance things out. Anyway, I'm Ava. I'm from Singapore, and yeah, my mom constantly calls me and tells me I have to have kids, and I'm in the middle of like New York City, in Manhattan, and I'm like, it's not happening. Like, having kids is not an option at all right now. And you know, right now there's overpopulation. There are 8 billion people in this world, and having kids is not going to like impact things positively at all. In fact, it adds more problems at this point because there's overpopulation, there's a lack of resources, and yeah, there's just too many people, and adoption is a choice. And she's like, no, this adoption is not a choice because it's not your genetic lineage. Because
So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to give too much more away. It was a long conversation we got into, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we are recording face to face.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. This actually is better for us.
Yeah.
But we're at 353 Studios with. Introduce yourself.
I'm Aver Lim, and I'm the author of The Red Hourglass. It's on Amazon. It's a thriller series of undercover agents that they were actually orphans and they were adopted and trained to kill. And I'm also the YouTube creator behind The Scarlet Queen, and there are 4 million views. I have a loyal minion following on YouTube. So my stuff is available at thescarletqueen.com, and here I am today with
Sean Kneese, the BSing with Sean K. So I saw you call your fans your minions.
Yes.
And you said you're a dominatrix, or that's like the role?
I role play a fantasy figure on my YouTube series, and the dominatrix version, her name is Risque, and there's also Shara. So actually I'm playing 2 characters, pretty much because I'm a switch. I play both the dominant and submissive role, so it's actually a switch channel, which people find quite unusual. But my minions are more attracted to Risque, the very domineering kind of persona that I portray. She's very aggressive, masculine, and she plays like an evil villain to get things her way, and she controls her minions, and that kind of stuck with my YouTube series for now. It's like Loki in Avengers. Like Loki was like the villain. Like after watching Avengers, I was like, wow, Tom Hiddleston is so awesome. Like he was the best villain ever. Like the whole Avengers series, I was just watching him the whole time because he made so much sense as a villain. Like he's superior. He wants to control the world, and everyone should kneel before him. So I derived my inspiration from my Risque character, from the things that I had watched in the past. Loki is one of my inspirations, as well as Heath Ledger in Joker and Batman series. He was playing a really convincing villain, so I do study like people who play villains, and I actively incorporate it into my YouTube series based on my fans' feedback and interact with that.
Yeah, so is there like, because I haven't seen like many other channels that like do what you do, like the role play kind of.
Yeah, it's a role play fantasy
is that like
interaction.
Is there like a whole community of other channels like that?
They call it like ASMR channels.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, the ASMR channels, they kind of like do some kind of like sleep therapy thing, but obviously my content is too like kinky to be at ASMR. I don't think it put people to sleep. It makes them like more aware than anything else. It's more like a storytelling channel.
You did a couple of ASM.
Yeah, I did but I don't think it's for sleep. It's actually for a fantasy bedtime story from a villain's point of view. So I usually play villains. I write from villains' point of view, and that's what I'm pretty much into in my content creation nowadays. Is I'm attracted to people who play the villains, and I play it actively. Although in real life, I think I'm pretty much like pretty normal, like you and I am. I'm pretty chill. I go to the beach. I take a walk in the park. I don't think I have killed anyone. I have not killed anyone in real life. So but in my channel. And the things I do on my virtual space is the fictional creations of my imagination. So that's what I do actively with my fans who are really into the things that I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funner to play the villain. Sometimes, like I even think that like as an actor, like sometimes there's more places you can go with that.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think that
it's like Jon Snow.
Yeah, Jon Snow.
Well, at least on the show, I think he was kind of interesting in the books. Like at least from what I read of the books, but on the show he's just kind of like he's like one of the he's like I like the character, but he's like one of the least interesting in a way because he's just so good.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have there's no complexity.
It's too simple. It's easy to play the heroes, but it's harder to play the villains and justify their behavior. That's
why my dream role will be Queen Cersei, because I think she's a very complex villain. Like she got married and she has her lover, which is her twin brother, and 3 kids, and she did things to make sure her kids stay in power, and all of them died at the end. So oops, spoiler. But yes, so like I feel that I could relate to Cersei because like she saw her kingdom fall apart in front of her when the castle was crumbling down. I could really relate to that. Like some of the things I had done in the past is like I have tried to build a beautiful future, and I see it all crumbling in before me, and I could really relate to that. Like what she was trying to do was, I think it's all justified, although she was a villain and everyone hated her, but she has her own, she wants to preserve her own legacy and her own like bloodline and her purity, you know, from the Lancaster family. So she does have her justifications. Whatever she's doing is for her family and brother, although she at times does not realize her blind spots, that some of the things and actions she do, it actually hurts people around her in the long run, and she kind of did not see it coming, that it was eventually the things that she did not realize about herself that led to her demise. But I think she's a very justified, complex human being, and I think in real life we do know of people who are like Cersei, who do not realize they are the villain, but they are actually, you know, pretty narcissistic or selfish in their own ways, but justified in their own ways.
Yeah, because I saw you do your stand-up last Sunday at the Improv Now.
Yeah.
You're another guest I've met at the Improv. I've had a lot of improv guests this year.
Yes.
But yeah, but you said like your dream role also was like being a lawyer, a woman that's a lawyer a day, and then a serial killer
at night. Yeah, like my dream role is a very complex villain. Like, you know, being a lawyer in a day, like you're actually like trying to help people to get out of jail, right? And then if I'm killing people at night as a serial killer, that's like a total it's totally illogical. It's totally at odds. Like it does not make total sense. But I would like that would be my dream role in a contemporary setting, because that is so freaking complex. Like nowadays we meet people like Spider-Man. He's like a reporter, a photographer in the daytime, and Spider-Man at night. We have Batman. He's like a billionaire in the daytime. He's like he goes out and
well, Daredevil. You'd be kind of like an evil Daredevil. It's like he's like a lawyer during. Yeah,
for me it will be like the anti-hero. It will be like she is a lawyer and like maybe from a very.
She'd be like Elektra if she took Matt Murdock's job.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what.
Like it would be my dream role. I created it. Like I thought through it. I created it. I think that my dream role is a lawyer in the daytime and a serial killer at night, because like I have studied like serial killers, and like in my books,
like interesting. From
like why would they do it? You know, like I could not imagine doing it ever. You know, but what drives them to that insanity level that justifies whatever they do is right at the expense of their own lives. And in the daytime, she's like a lawyer. That's like super complex. So I hope that one day I will get such a role in my life if I continue to audition for acting roles. Like that is the dream role I'm looking for. But otherwise, my YouTube is the biggest role of my life. Like I have Risque, which is like the lead character, running for 200 episodes now on YouTube. So she's pretty much it. Like I had created my own dream role on YouTube, playing the villain and the heroine, but no one likes the heroine in the end, so Risque has took over the series. I think that's pretty much my stance on where I am right now, is that I tend to want to study and play complex villains.
What made you want to make her like a dominatrix, I guess?
There are lots of keywords that I could use to attract viewership, and one of the keywords I use is dominatrix or fandom. They are just keywords. If people really watch the series from the start, like they watched 200 videos of it, they will realize it's nothing to do with that. It's more like a fantasy. I think that every one of us, within us, have all these attributes, It's just that we never express it in real life. So I would call it like a fantasy role-playing series, because like we have a secret side of us that we will never say or do. And in that channel, I actually say and do stuff that like are considered quite taboo. So the word dominatrix is associated with like very taboo behaviors that women don't usually express. Like the more masculine side, the more aggressive side is considered more like unusual. And me being an Asian girl is also considered like exotic. So like these are just keywords to get viewership, but I think fundamentally I'm pushing the limits of like exploration in terms of sexuality and like being human and like who we are and what we want, and you know, so and creating imaginary worlds in the process. So I don't really use like, I don't do like non-fiction stuff. Everything I do is fictional, so that people can get into the imaginary world with me and participate in it, because it's easier that way to relate to come to enter into a fantasy zone.
It's like, well, you can just become whatever, I guess, you want in a way.
Yeah, actually, when I make my YouTube videos over 3 hours, I book a studio. My current process is I book a studio for 3 hours and I make about 20 to 30 videos in one setting. And 20 to 30 videos about 2-3 minutes long, and they are uploaded over 6 months on YouTube. So I'm filming about twice or 4 times a year right now for my YouTube series, and it's a total improv. I don't script my series at all. It's like I just do and say whatever I want to do or say. It's a kind of artistic self-expression at this point. I don't think it's very commercial. It's very niche. It's based on fan donations on Patreon. And my fans keep the channel going because there is like, you know, fans who really like what I'm doing. But I don't take any requests because I feel that there are better ways to make money than like doing fan requested videos, because I would prefer to preserve my artistic output and preserve my artistic vision than to cater to a certain niche or request. Like then it will be too commercial. It won't be an artistic independent production anymore, which is a one-woman production or my vision of what I want to see in this world, which is more acceptance for women who are more, you know, masculine, aggressive, and you know, I still think I'm a woman. I don't think I'm a man for sure. I think I'm a switch. I am definitely a switch. I am not I'm not dominant only. I'm not submissive only. I'm probably right smack in the middle, and that's kind of misunderstood also within the kink community. What is a switch? Because there's so few of us. There's only like 15% of the community are switchers. So I get that a lot, and I went through a lot of confusion growing up and regaining my acceptance and self-identity in being a switch. So that's how my creations have been affected by. So, but most people are attracted to the dominant side on my YouTube, and I do get a lot of following for that. But yeah, that is probably pretty much a fantasy role play thing I do, which I never do in real life. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I heard that from before. Switch, like somebody switches.
Yeah.
Masculine between being the dominant or the submissive.
Yeah, a switch does both equally. Some switchers, they have different partners. Some switchers switch with the same partner. Yeah, I'm probably just a switch, you know, with the same partner. That's not very common. I would say it's even within the community is very uncommon. So I'm pretty much came to terms with it through my creations, and I believe that there are many switchers out there who are probably pretty confused on what they are into, because the society kind of classifies us in different ways, and like even if you go to an event, a kink event, they're like, oh, are you dom or sub? I'm like, switch. They are like confused. People get confused by my answer too. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like,
so it's like whatever you're in the mood for, I guess. Like that's switch, right? You switch this around.
Switches, I think switches it depends on the switch. For me, it's like with the same partner, I could do both sides, and would prefer to stick with one partner to do both sides equally. Yeah, that's probably my
Like
definition.
express both parts.
Both parts
Yeah.
equally. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's like my true self-actualization. Thing like sexuality is a kind of human potential thing that most people also never discover in their whole lives what they are really into, because we try to fit into society norms by, you know, doing like monogamous marriage, you know, have kids kind of route. So to diverge from that is a very uncommon experience, and to truly like discover one's sexuality is also it's probably extremely difficult to come to terms with that. Even I think in the 21st century, it's although like now things are a lot more open and liberal and people are like talking openly about it. Like, you know, now like we have a very huge LGBT movement, we have Pride Parade, we have like leather parades, we have like 50 Shades of Grey everywhere, you know, like people are a lot more aware and open, but still I think within the kink community is like still switchers are pretty much an misunderstood bunch up to now. So I think through my creations, my creative content creation, I use that expression to come to terms with my own sexuality, which was like really confusing me too, because people will always ask me like, are you either one? Like guys will hit on me, are you a dom or sub? Like I'm neither, I'm both, you know. And so it really took me a long time to reach a self-actualization that I am this, you know. So this is it, like a coming out story, being a switch, even new to you. Yeah, but I mean nowadays a lot of people that came out openly gay, you know.
Yeah.
But how many?
So the kink community, that's like a community you found like online, or?
Yeah, we have fatlife.com. It's a kink community that there are kink events around the cities, around the world, like that people go to discover themselves, and you can go to the munch.
So it's like fantasy role play. That's like more just what you do.
Yeah, it's just to hang out, meet people, and like you can just talk about your kinks and what you are into and share them and see what people had to share about themselves too. So it's like a mutual sharing sessions. And I went to a few events over time in different cities to kind of talk to different people and watch people do stuff, and yeah, really discovered like this is it, you know. So I think it's best to go to an event, a local event, to meet like-minded people and talk through things instead of like hiding at home watching videos and pictures all the time, because that's pretty unclear still until like meeting someone to talk about it or to try it out is a totally different experience. Yeah, so for me it took me a long time to do this self-discovery journey and meet a community of like-minded people and explore it fully. But yeah, it's probably like, I don't think it's, I mean it could be like roleplay fantasy, but to many of us this is a lifestyle choice, you know. It's something we need and we cannot live without it.
So it's like so I guess like what's a kink convention? Is like a kink, is it like convention?
Yeah, we have there's events on Fat Life by different organizers. So they have rope events, munches, they have like
It's more about like talking to people. And
I
out,
think
like
most of the time, 90% of the time we are talking. Actually, there's nothing we do like compared to the swingers events. For example, everyone gets naked in swingers events, but in kink events, like no one gets naked. Like hardly, maybe I don't know, but hardly. But most people are just standing around talking and sharing. It's more like it's a more deep connection, more intimate connection than what we call like vanilla setting. Vanilla setting is like what we call non-kink settings. We call people who are not kinky vanilla people. So so we will say like it's a deeper connection than people who are in vanilla relationships or settings. Yeah.
So so I guess it was like kind of like a deep thing to, like you were saying.
It's like really going into what they're really into and what they need, and looking for a like-minded partner who can meet that need and mutually fulfill each other. So that's that's the kind of like it's a maybe it could be a fantasy played out in real life, but it takes a lot of time and communication. Most people I know are in long-term relationships, probably not a casual hookup encounter. Most relationship structures in the kink community are like they have been together like for 10 years or something, like a very, very long time to build to that level of trust and safety and intimacy to do all this like more complex activities like handcuffs, rope. You know, it takes a lot of trust. And there's aftercare, we call it aftercare, like what happens after the scene, you know. An intense scene, and we have to do aftercare, like we have to take care of the person, make sure they're okay, they feel well, you know, make sure they don't feel like being abandoned or something. So I think the trust level is a lot deeper to get into BDSM kind of kinky relationship than normal vanilla relationships.
Okay, so like BDSM's like a sub community. There's like sub communities then, the like kink, and then there's like different.
Kink and BDSM are to me the same thing.
Okay, so
it's
kind of like there's like a dress to it and everything. Like there's like bond, like there's like a what is like people dress a certain way. Like
yeah, they do dress in leather, and they do bring their equipment, like they bring their ropes, they bring their toys, and they do enact scenes. Yeah, so I mean I've been to the events, and yeah, we have dungeons in New York. It's pretty fun. Yeah, so that's pretty much what people do at the events. They play with each other if they are already in an existing kind of partnership. But otherwise, to enter into such a partnership requires such a high level of trust. So it takes a very long time to find a partner, to do such things, and it builds over time. I think it gets better over time. Yeah.
So it's something you become like really invested in, I guess. Like
yeah, it's pretty much like I would say it's like ballroom dancing. Like if you see ballroom dancers, they have been like together for many years before they compete. But they are like always practicing. These two people are always practicing every day, 4 hours a day, until they compete 2 years later, and they are very good. They look very good on the dance floor. Where else, like other forms of dancing, like salsa or like West Coast swing, you can change your partner. So, I mean, even if you compete professionally, you can compete with different partners in other dances. But ballroom is like pretty. The standard is very high, so people in ballroom, they usually stay with the same partner for many years to compete. So I would compare the kink community to that, like ballroom dancing, where they are in very long-term monogamous relationships where they actually like fully share their lives with each other, they trust each other, and they play at a very high level of exploring who their sexuality and what they're into. So I think that's the equivalent of kink in my definition, because I think it's pretty hard to be kinky with a casual encounter. I don't think it's possible to have a one night stand. I don't think it's possible. I don't know, maybe some people are doing it, but in my definition,
is it missing like the personal
yeah connection? It's just like I don't think you will really know what a person wants in one night. It's not definitely not a one night stand. It's probably a 10 years encounter if it gets to the point, because that's like that's probably Nevada, right? Yeah, to reach that point.
Yeah. And I want to get into like the other stuff like you do too, but I feel like this is I know this is like an interesting yeah, I mean it's like I guess it's a perspective or like topic maybe like a lot of people haven't heard about. Yeah. But I guess yeah, does that I guess tie into anything else you do? Because you do a lot. You're also an actress, and you're doing the Hourglass trilogy, and that's like more like a crime kind of story. That's good. Yeah, you talked a little bit about that. Yeah, I guess if you want to go on, I guess more into like your other passions. So,
right now I do stand-up and improv. I actually have the intention to do voiceovers more on my Patreon page, which are like more news short stories to be released on voiceover, like voice recordings. I'm kind of like experimenting right now, doing short stories on using my voice on Patreon, and then subsequently developing it into a new series for my channel, which is going to be the next fantasy series, but it will be a lot more complex. Like right now my channel, I would think is more like there's a lot of dancing and like a lot of like posing and just talking to the minions kind of thing, but I'm restarting a new storyline which involves like being in a dungeon with chains, and like it's going to be more hardcore. Like the storyline is going to be a more hardcore series coming up, so I'm working on it actually. That's why I haven't been replying to my fan mail or being very active, because I am constructing the new series, which will be the next level of what my YouTube channel will be, which is like the next fantasy storyline. I'm still working on it, but it will involve a lot of dungeons and chains and like restraint. So that's what I'm actively imagining and going to record the next few episodes, which is very exciting because I think my fans do like that. They like my every time when I release a new short story fantasy series, which I periodically do over the years. People do get into the storyline, but yeah, it's only like for a short period before my creative energy disappears. But I think I do have a new fantasy series coming up, which is pretty dark and dungeony. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Someone once said like this is one of the, because like I've had a lot of people with I guess like views or like are into subcultures, I guess kind of outside, I guess like the mainstream, like on the show, and someone said like, oh well, one area you haven't covered is like, I guess like
Kink.
with your talk, yeah. And I just didn't think it was, I don't know, I didn't think it was going to be like the day I would cover. So I guess now I covered that area.
That's great to know. Like, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
not many people speak on this subject openly, because most people in kink are pretty like private and closeted about it. They don't reveal themselves like openly because they are afraid like, oh, they'll lose their jobs, or people will judge them. But for me, I'm pretty open at this point of my life. I think there's nothing wrong being kinky or being into certain things at this point. I have been through like a lot of self-reflection and introspection to really speak about this topic openly and embracing it and not being shy of it, because like it has went into all my creations. I can't help it. I'm possessed, like I'm trying to write something vanilla and becomes kinky, so it's part of me. I can't deny it, right? So I think people should just be open about it, because if everyone is so closeted about it, then it becomes even more taboo. But once people start to talk and share openly, then the world will be a happier place. There will be less suffering, because it's like being gay, I think it's worse than being gay sometimes, being kinky, because like now I'm sure you can easily get a gay person to come on your show and share their story.
I've had a couple of gay guests.
Yeah,
but the interview wasn't like about them being gay. I mean, it was, they mentioned
coming out.
Stuff,
Yeah.
I did interview this woman who plays in metal bands as a transgender woman, and she talked a lot about transitioning.
People are actually talking about their sexuality so openly now, in other areas, but the kink community is still underrepresented in terms of people coming out to talk openly. And I have been invited to several shows to just talk about it openly, which they really like it, because it's so hard to find speakers or people who are willing to share openly about it. But being an author and a YouTuber who is extremely kinky, I'm like pretty open at this point. So I think more people should just speak up and create content on it if they're really into it. I stop suppressing it, because it's not good to suppress such things. It's unhealthy in the long run, and you feel like extremely alone if you keep like not talking about it. So it's good to just be open. Yeah.
And you came from Singapore originally, but your parents were Chinese, right? That's
Yeah,
correct,
I was from Singapore. Yeah, I was from a Chinese family, but my parents were traveling and they work around the world, and I travel a lot too. So I wouldn't say that like we are very traditional. My family is pretty liberal and open-minded. We are like,
Okay.
you know, because we've been traveling everywhere and working in different cities. So yeah, I think that kind of upbringing really helped me to really be true to myself and be open and just be receptive to new experiences. So I wouldn't regard myself as Chinese. I don't even think I'm Chinese. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just a global citizen of the world, because I don't know how to do a traditional Chinese tea ceremony. I definitely like can't. I don't do ancestral worship. You know, like there's so many traditions that are lost because of cosmopolitan. We are just in globalization now. Everyone goes and eat at McDonald's or Starbucks. It's just the world is now so united as one.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a difference being born in any city now. It's like you have the exact same things. You still go to the same kind of cafes. So even if I go to Beijing or Shanghai right now, it's like it looks exactly like Manhattan in many parts. There's no difference. You can still get pizza in China, so you can get dumplings in New York. So I don't think it's a geographic distance or race is any factor right now in this century. I think we should just embrace like globalization and being a united human race. Yeah.
I guess that helps us like be. It's easier to like be an individual, I guess, that way too, right? Like,
like you know, like I like salsa. It's a Latin dance, and I don't think it's like a Chinese dance for sure. But you know, I like coffee from Melbourne. You know, it's good to like be culturally like receptive to different kinds of interests and not just stick to one's culture. I think it's good to do different things, and like I think it's good to have different cultural acceptance of different topics, and that makes a person more fulfilled than just sticking to one's culture. I mean, that would make sense maybe 50 years ago without the internet, or you know, when there was a limitation on air travel. You know, people didn't travel much 50 years ago, but now I think because we have the internet and we have, you know, budget air flights and hostels, you know, you can realistically live or work anywhere in the world. Right now, this is the century we can all do that. Actually, we have the access to it as long we are from a city.
Yeah, like that's one of the good things like about the internet. I think it's social media. Like it connects. Like a lot of people talk about like the bad side of social media, where like we're not as connected as much because like everybody's on their phone. I guess it could get addicting, but it's also like, I don't know, there's more, everything's like more connected too in a way.
I think it allows more people to explore who they truly are. Like I wouldn't know about the kink lifestyle, or like I'm a switch, until I read like a Wikipedia page on it and I identified with it. So I think the internet exposes and opens up our consciousness to realize who we are, and that's why there's so many people like coming out and talking about their sexuality openly nowadays, is because of the internet. Because in the past we didn't have access to such information and education, but now we do. We can just, you know, search things up and realize that I don't think I'm religious, I don't think I'm into it, I think I'm more into that, you know. So people start to question things and develop more individualism and opinions on what they're looking for. I think that kind of is a self-actualization of their true potential in life, because if not, if we don't have all this exposure, education and information, we will be pretty much limited in a very fixed mindset on what we actually should do. Like for example, if let's say I'm born in a rural area with no internet access, I would be expected to marry and have kids, because that's what they did for thousands of years. But I mean, because I was born in a big city, I have access to the internet. So the opportunities of being a woman is a lot more than just getting married and having kids. You know, women can have a career. Women, you know, can be an author, can be a YouTuber. You know, like there's so much avenues that open up, like just by having access to education and the internet. And even like I have a business degree. You know, I was educated in Australia, and I wrote papers on the rise of e-commerce and the death of retail for one of my papers, and that was my prediction before Amazon came about. Yeah, that's way back. But yeah, I think the internet is one of the greatest inventions in contemporary times, because now we can connect with people with similar interest groups and not be limited just by geographically where we are or who we are exposed to in our immediate proximity. Now we actually have a lot more options than before.
And then like Meetup, like that's what we met through the Improv Now Meetup. Yeah, and then I found out about this place because 353 Studios, because of another meetup, Stark Reality Open Mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she used to do Viviana used to do her shows there. And then of course there's a podcast, and then you got the YouTube. Like we're doing it. We're putting our thing out there and like connecting.
Yeah.
It's much easier to like put your own thing out there. Like, so is that like, I guess what you want to because you were saying like you don't want to like you're worried about it becoming too commercial, because then you wouldn't have like the freedom to do. So you want to be like successful, I guess, in a non-conventional way with it, right? Like doing it your own way, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to be commercially successful, I wouldn't do my YouTube. I mean, I would have other better avenues of making money, more lucrative ways of making money. If I wanted to be commercially successful, YouTube is like one of the worst places to be commercially successful. I think it requires so much time to make a YouTube channel, and it's truly an artistic self-expression and discovering who I am in terms of my personal growth as an artist more than anything else. But I am the subject. Some people, they express themselves through like making a sculpture or painting. I express myself by being the subject in my channel or my books, you know, writing my novels or short stories. So all this content that I create is original. You know, I am the creator of behind everything. All the stories I create is my own imagination. So there is no, like, I'm not like, you know, stealing from anyone. It's just influences around me that makes me create the stuff. So that's what I'm really into. Is content creation that is original.
Yeah, I'm the same way with the podcast. You know, I like being able to like interview who I want to interview, and not like having like the overly edited like shows that are just like, she said this, let's do a sound bite. Like I like the conversational feel and like
I think the more honest, truthful stuff we can get our hands on right now are independent creations, independent podcasts, independent YouTube channels, independent films. They are so much more real than what we see on television or the movies, which are like more like, you know, tailored for mainstream, and they are not necessarily truthful. They are more like society ideas of what we should do or behave. It's more like, I think, a way to like make people think, oh, this is the way we should fall in love, we should get married, we should have kids. It's more like it speaks a narrative that kind of makes the masses follow. But independent creations are speaking a different kind of narrative, which is the more underground approach or more unconventional approach to a lifestyle. So I think right now, in my opinion, the independent creations are more honest with reality than conventional creations.
Yeah. And do you think like some people need to follow though? Like there needs to be like some people need a structure. Like maybe can and then people break away from that, of course, and do their own thing. But like, do you think maybe a lot of people in society like need some sort of like person to follow or thing to follow.
Yeah, that's why I guess my channel attracts minions, because they are attracted to risque. There is a strong need for humans to follow like a leader, and when they see a leader, they want to follow a leader. True, it may work for majority of people. No denial. I think I am a natural leader myself. I do get a following, and people always kind of like nominate me to do leadership stuff. So that is kind of what I naturally attract in real life. But I think that's still, most humans, in my opinion, right now are not evolved. Like, they spend too much time watching television and not having an opinion, or not like reading enough books.
Yeah, and letting the TV tell, even with the news, like letting the TV tell you what to think. Or like,
yes,
yeah.
I think most people don't come out and question things and really explore or find out what they truly want. That is a different level of human self-awareness to actually seek out for your own answers than to follow like the media and society's conditioning and parents saying certain things. To step out of that is kind of very difficult, and most people don't do it because it's safer to remain in their conventional comfort zone and follow the 9 to 5 lifestyle and just do exactly what everyone does, than to step out of the comfort zone, which can get very unsettling, which I think only 10% of the population will do, or less than that. 90% of the people will fall into conventions because it's safe, it's secure. If they're taking no risks. But in my opinion, my life so far, I take a lot of risks and it has paid off. And I think it's just a different lifestyle, a different way of conducting my life, like being an artist, doing YouTube and being openly kinky is probably very unconventional stuff. But it's true to myself, and I have given it a lot of introspection and self-awareness to reach to this point of my life where I'm like truly expressing who I am without commercial interest or society's conditioning. So I think this is my full potential.
So it sounds like that's what you want to pursue the most, like your channel, and I guess maybe what you're writing with the books too.
Yeah. In terms of exploring who I am, that's probably two of the
and I guess the
closest
comedy
avenues.
is more for fun. So the comedy is more for fun.
If I do stand up or improv, it's really like, it could be for fun, it could be for my personal self-development, because it does help my creations. It helps me think faster on the spot. It helps me in my auditions. I think it helps me in all areas of life to do improv or stand-up comedy. But I think it's part of the journey. I won't say like, that's the only thing I am or not into. I mean, I can live without doing stand-up or improv. But in terms of creating my own content, that is forever my legacy. That's my originality, and that's my contribution to the human race, because like 4 million views right now, it's going to be 5 million views soon. And I think as long one person can hit like 1 million views, that's like a major impact on people already. I mean, there are YouTubers who have like 100 million views, but it may not impact people the way that I am doing, because I am doing it in a very independent, creative way that's unorthodox and like true to myself. I'm not like, I'm not going around Times Square and like, have you tried this pizza? And let's get 10 million views out of making random people try random pizza. There are more commercial channels like that, but it doesn't add any value to anyone, I think, to make people try a pizza.
Probably does the opposite, like it takes away. Or especially like certain like videos that talk about like politics or something that's going on, and it's like jump cuts. And it's like very like overly edited, and this person talks in a really opinionated way, and then it's like they don't really do any research or back up what they say. It's just like, he's right because he said it in an opinionated way and did a bunch of jump cuts, And
it doesn't add value to anyone to watch that, right?
No,
because
it just dumbs them down.
It's not original. It's not like I learned anything from watching people eating random pizza.
Well, it's actually harmful in a way, because it like keeps people kind of like uninformed, and
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
entertainment. I think my channel is considered more artistic, and I think it falls into the category of indie because people do learn something about themselves from watching my stuff or reading my stuff, because it's very deep. So I think it's a lot more complex than what it seems. Even to myself, when I watch my own channel, I'm like, holy shit, did I say that? Did I do that shit? Like, it is complex to me too when I re-watch my series. Yeah.
And the ASMR, like you're exploring with that too, I guess, right? 'Cause you did a couple.
Yeah, I did a couple of ASMR, but it's like a bedtime fantasy story. So right now I'm probably getting into it again. I do have quite a few ideas that I am actively exploring in my head, and once I'm ready, I'll start recording and uploading them. But yeah, I have been like doing my work on making the next series great on my channel, like not making America great again, but making my own Scarlet Queen channel great. Yes.
Yeah. I guess I could do ASMR on here too.
Yeah.
This is BSing. Hope you all are relaxing. I am interviewing Aver Lim.
Hey, yes. So yeah, that's me. Pretty public about who I am and what I do. Yes.
So I think we covered everything. Like, this has been a pretty good conversation. Anything you want to say to like wrap up, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to have this conversation and contribute to the Kink community by being very open about being a switch. And I'd like to thank my fans, who knows me or listening to this channel. Thank you for tuning in to me and supporting my creations. And thank you for this interview today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for. It was a good we definitely covered some interesting topics that I haven't covered before. It was good to bring out all the stuff you're passionate about. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So like this. All right. So that was the conversation, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll let you draw your own conclusions about everything we talked about, and I mean, there's really not much more I can add. I feel like it speaks for itself. But you can catch me and Aver performing every Sunday at the Triple Crown. She's usually there every Sunday now. She does her stand-up routine, and then she gets into the improv jams, and then I do my improv comedy team. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm a lot of other things. I'm a musician. I'm an actor. I do the improv comedy, and also write spoken word, poetry, lyrics. I haven't tried stand-up yet, but I am a very funny guy. A lot of times I can be very funny, so I feel like stand-up's not something I necessarily write off. But yeah, I perform with my house team, my improv house team every Sunday. Folks About the Town, and Aver's there a lot doing her stand-up, and also she does improv a bit too. And April, actually, one of my other guests who I interviewed a couple episodes ago, the ventriloquist, she performs Sunday night too. So yeah, come see the show if you're in the area and hang out one of these days. It's a lot of fun. It's a free show too at the Triple Crown Theater. But yeah, so you can catch Aver Lim on averlim.com, and also on her YouTube channel, The Scarlet Queen, and check out her Red Hourglass trilogy on Amazon. That's about all I have to say. I'll catch you on the next episode.
BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean